All right, everyone. This might be one of the most anticipated videos I've done, at least in quite a while. I did an unboxing of this D+C Cusp Junior recently, and the unboxing got so many views and so many comments. It was crazy because this knife is crazy. So first off, Demetrio Z is the maker. He's not a maker. He's actually a dentist by profession, trade, career, whatever you want to call that. But he likes to make things in his spare time in his garage. And this is what he came up with, the Cusp Junior. Now, this is the, I believe, 5th knife that he has made. And it is actually numbered number 11. And we'll talk about how that came to be and what, we'll talk about that as we go through this video. So stay tuned. This is going to there's a lot of details here to share. So let me start off by putting in some pictures that he sent me of different parts and pieces of the knife in kind of like parts during the build. And there's some pictures of previous knives that he's made or other siblings, if you will. And so I'll just let those kind of play here a little bit. Some pictures that he sent me. Now he's also made a pen and a pencil. He's actually made a couple of pens. And I don't know if he's made a couple of pencils or not, but I do have a pen and a pencil here at the house also, but that'll be a separate video. All right. So I think all the pictures have played. I don't know. I got to put those in after the fact. It's kind of a post-editing thing, whatever. So these are not for sale. Okay, he has made a few and he has given them away to family and friends. He did tell me that I could include his Instagram down below. This is the pivot tool that comes, that he says that the end user gets. This is what the end user gets: a knife, a pivot tool, and this foam box. So for now, let's just take this and put it out of the way. He also did send me his bench tool that he uses to take things apart and put them together. Okay. You only need one tool because the clip side, the lock side, is the only pivot that moves. This side of the pivot is captured. Okay. I do have some spare parts I'll pull out in a second, but let me just get the basic specs out of the way first. 5 1/4 closed, 8 7/8 overall. 3.74 inch blade with a 3.55 cutting edge. It's 0.012 behind the edge. The blade thickness is 0.120. It is M390 blade steel with a 62 HRC that he has tested, so he knows the hardness. Weighs in at 3.4 ounces. Overall thickness of 0.531. And it runs on ACB bearings. Okay, let's talk about that. Let me pull out some spare parts. He calls those the angular contact bearings. If we zoom in here, with the knife out of the way, you can see the bearings and the races. So the blade never touches the pivot because it's inside of this caged angled bearing and it's angled at 22.5 degrees. He makes the bearing cages and the races and the screws and the hardware. Like, he makes everything. He obviously buys the M390 and he buys the fat carbon. Everything else he makes. I think he buys probably the ceramic bearing, the actual bowls, but he assembles this. So this cage is made out of grade 2 titanium. All the hardware is made out of grade 5 titanium. And he actually sent me a little video, which I don't know that I can insert in, but maybe, of him actually inserting the bearings, because he mills that hole for the bearings to pop into. It's pretty freaking crazy. Here is an unfinished backspacer, just to kind of show his level of machining. There's a little groove for the blade, and I'll show you more on the actual knife here in just a moment. He sent also a hardened lock bar stabilizer. The lock bar insert of 440C for the lock bar insert. And he also sent along the stop pin, of which he actually put some engravings and stuff in. So now if we just put this to the side and we do a close-up of the knife so you can see those parts in place. Here is the backspacer. You can see there is a groove for the blade. I don't know that that's necessary. If I try to get a light in there. But it does give a little bit of a relief cut for the edge of the blade, just if it's needed. Beautiful milled pocket clip, which we'll talk about. That's my one negative, if I want to nitpick. But the open-faced pivot more than makes up for my little nitpick. Then you can see here how the bearings kind of go together. You can see the stop pin here that kind of keys into the scales. Inside it talks about Cusp Junior, 22.5 ACB, April 2023. And then on the other side, it talks that this is number 11 of 12. Oops. Number 11 of 12. Made with pride in the United States. So Dmytro is from the Ukraine. So D and C is actually his initials from in, I believe you pronounce it Krylic, his native language. Might be Krylic. I'm not sure. I'm totally sorry. So this is the graphene blade style. This honeycomb. And graphene means, I'll put a picture up here in the corner, it's an allotrope of carbon consisting of a single atom, blah, blah. You can read the screen, okay? But this thing is bananas, okay? Again, they're not for sale. He didn't number them sequentially because he just didn't want to. So while this is number 5 that he has made, it's numbered number 11. So the pocket clip, the only gripe-ish I have is, now I'm not some big operator and need super deep carry concealment, whatever, right? However, this one does stick out of the pocket about yay much. Okay? So that does sit a little high for me. I would like to see maybe the pocket clip moved up if possible. Maybe a little redesign here so that it can go a little deeper into your pocket, maybe up to here. I don't know. That's a total nitpick thing. And depending on what jeans I am wearing, it's a little tight. Okay? Other than that, this thing is fantastic. There's not a finger choil, but because of the way that the pivot is designed, you can easily choke up here. It has a recurve, which I love. Like, there is nothing about this I don't like other than the clip. And I still like the clip because it actually works, and I have carried this. Another interesting thing is the way the lock bar works. It puzzles into the blade. Hopefully that's coming up here and you can see how that works. I think that's genius. So you have basically 100% lockup because it goes inside of the flipper tab, kind of. So this opening that you can see right here at the stop pin is where the lock bar interfaces with the blade. I think it's genius. Okay, so a little bit more about Demetrio is, and I've got a bunch of paper here that he sent. He first put this in CAD in July of 2022, and his first two knives he finished right before Christmas of 2022. And it was a present for his father-in-law. He wanted them to be really unique, which he nailed. All the contact parts are hardened, titanium pivot, honeycomb pattern, arguably subtract from the practicality of the knife, but this was not the purpose for this project, wasn't to be super practical. I don't care. I would buy this in a heartbeat if he would let me keep it, but I need to send it back. So he had to learn all kinds of new processes. Milling, threading how to make the threads on the hardware, how to mill steel, how to mill titanium, heat treating. He had to buy a kiln, a surface grinder, etching, anodizing, all of this stuff he learned since 2022. And I'm filming this in September of 2023. So it's literally been a year and a month since he started this. When we started July, it's been 14 months and this is what he's producing. Wow. Just wow. So he had a hand mill and a lathe that he was working on for a few years before, because he's made pens and pencils and other just little hobby things. And then he bought a CNC machine and he's working on that. But it's all in his garage. But he doesn't make these for profit. He's not going to be selling them. You can reach out and ask. I told him it's going to be flooded with inquiries. I think that's most everything on his list. Let me give you a couple of size comparisons here as we try to wrap this up. I told him that he was going to be inundated with requests to purchase. He's already had inquiry from one of my good friends, and he respectfully said maybe. Okay, this is the VC Edge interface. That was the Sharpie. Here's the Spyderco Delica. He said that he's only going to make 12 because this was a project. Only 12 will ever be made of this model, mostly as friends and family giveaways. He did say he might auction one off for charity. Again, I've offered to just send him PayPal versus sending this back, and that could be his charity thing. That hasn't worked yet. I have it for a little bit longer because I still need to film his pen and pencil, so I will try one more time before I send them back. But I think these are fantastic. It shows what you can do in your garage, what you can do with spare time. Out of the 12, he told me that it may be years before he makes any more. He also has a 1-year-old baby that he's helping raise. Well, raising together. You know what I mean. So that's taken time away. He also has his profession and his career. But I think this thing is amazing for making 5 knives. He did make a couple of fixed blades prior to starting his folding knives. Because there is friction on the back because of the honeycomb, you can Spidey flick it, reverse flick it, finger flick it, whatever you knuckleheads want to call it, to do that, because I think it's dumb. But it does work because of the honeycomb pattern. You can sort of do it with your thumb. If the detent was a bit stronger, it would work better. But that wasn't the intent of this knife. Sometimes things just happen, and you can deploy a knife in ways other than intended. Wow, this thing is just amazing. And I'm honored. So he's an Instagram viewer. He watches the channel. He thought my viewers would like to see something like this. So he sent it in so I could share with you. Again, He's not making and selling these. So be respectful of that. This is a guy who tinkers in his garage, and he makes cool ass stuff. So that's what we're sharing, is what you can do in your garage, given a little time, money, and effort. Let me know your thoughts down below. I know we went a little long. If you made it this far, please comment down below, Fat Carbon, just to let me know that you made it all the way to the end, because I appreciate that. Thanks a lot, everybody. Have a great day, and please stay tuned for a pen and pencil video from this same guy who made some pens and pencils in his garage. You're going to be amazed at those as well. I'll put a link to the unboxing up here in the corner. Just if you missed that, please go check it out. It's worth it just to see my reaction and see me stumble all over myself, because this is not at all what I expected.